we saw Avengers Infinity, which basically finds us in the Marvel Universe in relative peace, I suppose. You know, all our heroes kind of scattered, doing their own thing, even thinking about starting new lives and stuff like this. But little do they know, Thanos is back. Thanos from the first one, who sent Loki, I think, to, you know, try to take over the Earth in the original Avengers. He's back, and he's chasing down the 6 Infinity Stones, which were birthed out of the Big Bang, and if brought together, give ultimate power.
I don't know what you're talking about already. I just watched it.
This man did his homework.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I didn't know if Thanos.
Yes.
Thanos was in the other ones.
Yeah. He was like a character. He wasn't like a big part of the story.
He was mostly a teaser. You know, like
Yeah.
they teased his presence in the first, Avengers.
Yeah, so he's trying to collect all the stones, and if you think it's going to only take one Avenger to stop him, and you think infinity means that it's not going to be an epic war, then you just don't know the meaning of definitions. Check out this trailer, see what I mean.
So this is it. It's all been leading to this. Ready? Let's go.
Spoilers?
Spoilers.
Wow.
Time to spoil Marvel. Infinity War. God, I almost feel like, I don't know, could get
Scared?
arrested just even.
From Thanos?
Thanos demands your silence. He will have you.
Oh man, yes. If you're not interested in spoiler, here's your last chance to stop this. This video is not going to go up for like, you know, a week or two before it's out. But yeah, stop now because we're talking on it all. So do it, people. What do you think? Let's superhero it up. What do you got to say about plot, characters, stuff that happened? What pissed you off? What are your guesses for the next one? What in the world do you think about that ending? That's the question, right?
Let me just say, you guys got me excited for this movie because you guys were like
I love
brimming with excitement. So I got pumped up, and then the crowd. So
Yep.
I think, should we start with Mike and hear what he has to?
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Mike.
Well,
Our resident comic book, follower. What do you
Yeah.
got to say on anything and everything?
man, I guess we can start with the ending. And,
Okay.
That
Ending's
ending
crazy,
was
people. It's
just
crazy.
crazy. The level of carnage, that we have, and the outcome is just, as I mentioned before in the non-spoiler part. It's heartbreaking, sort of, to see everything, but the thing that carries you over is the fact that all these deaths, there's a purpose to it, right? Mm-hmm. There's a larger picture. They're telling a long story, not the short story, right?
And it's a story that you're familiar with that is part of the comic.
So in the comic books, Thanos actually does retrieve the gauntlet, gets all the stones, and does sort of wipe out half the universe, right? But what happens is, our heroes retrieve the gauntlet, and they're able to reverse it. So, but the thing is that, you can just sort of say, retrieve the gauntlet, but all the pieces that they've laid out, all the things that have happened up until this point, you're just like, wow, how are they going to unravel all this stuff? All the little nuggets I felt like they sort of put in there. For example, like right now, and I'm going to say spoiler it again.
This is all spoiler.
Star-Lord, Peter Quill looks like a dipshit, right? Because because of what he kind of looks like a dipshit, and but
he's hurting, dog. They took his girl out.
Yeah, they took his girl,
his daughter, Thanos' daughter.
Yeah, but
kidnapped.
But he. They almost had Thanos. They almost had the gauntlet at that point, right? And he just,
he screwed that
he
up.
screwed that up. I mean, they're gonna have to do something to sort of redeem, Peter Quill, Star-Lord in some way, because otherwise he's going to be like the biggest goat, of all time. He doesn't come out of this movie looking very good at all. And the only thing you can think of is that they're going to redeem him in some way. And then
that's interesting.
Yeah, so
I wonder if he'll get his.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I focus on right now is kind of the real linchpin of this is Stephen Strange. Sort of the statement that he makes. Where he basically uses the time, the eye of Agamemnon to sort of look in the future.
This guy knowing the names of
and
eyes.
he using the time stone in the eye,
which he acquired in episode number 241, right after he summoned the demons
on this page in this panel. Yes, I remember that.
That's cool, man. Yeah.
But he actually looks into the future. And then he looks over 14 million possible futures. Thanos wins in every one of them except one.
The one, yeah.
The one, right? And then so they go to kind of execute the plan. And Strange.
Oh, interesting.
He
that
actually,
was some foreshadowing, possibly.
He gives up the time stone, which he said he was not going to do, in order to save Tony's life.
Right.
So I think at that point that Tony is going to be critical to retrieving the gauntlet.
Because
he saw something in the future.
If you remember, his final words before he turns into dust was, "There was no other way."
Right.
So maybe that was kind of a foreshadowing of things to come.
Exactly.
Peter Quill turns into dust too, so maybe.
Yeah.
Look in the poster.
So he's gonna have a hard time coming.
He's the biggest in the poster too.
Yeah.
Besides Thanos.
There's a number of reasons behind that, right? Because it all started with this guy. Iron Man 1. That's where
Robert Downey Jr.
the MCU started.
He just demanded in his contract he was in the top of the.
But
poster.
actually, if you look at it, interesting. If you look at his pose, right? That's the Jesus pose.
It sure
Isn't it?
is.
Right? That's the Jesus. That's the total Jesus pose.
So what do you guys think about Thanos is basically like your most avid Greenpeace activist, essentially, because all he's pretty much saying is sorry man, the universe is overpopulated. It'll do all of humanity and alien kind around the universe a solid if we just get rid of half these people we can't sustain or whatever. Did you guys have thoughts on that? I thought that was kind of in the vein of Killmonger from Black Panther,
true.
Where they kind of made his motivations a little conflicting. Where on their face they're pretty egregious, and heartless seemingly, but there is kind of an altruism and I don't know, whatever.
I got a sense
merciful.
of that. He wasn't pure evil.
Right. He thought he was doing good.
Yeah.
A lot of these bad guys,
yeah.
they just want to rule the universe or dominate humanity, but he was actually quote unquote wanting to save. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
and that was the route he thought was the way to accomplish that.
So, but I'll tell you from what I know about the comics, they actually changed Thanos' motivation. So in the comic books, Thanos' motivation for wiping out half the universe was to win the love of an entity known as Lady Death. So he actually did it for personal gain, so that in order to win her attention and her love, so to speak,
that's a way worse reason.
So that's a pretty terrible reason, and you got to think that it doesn't sort of really resonate.
Just buy an edible arrangement, and call it a day.
Well, and it doesn't resonate, I think, with today's sort of more sophisticated moviegoer and storyteller, right? So they had to give him something that I think people would really resonate with nowadays, is that sort of our unchecked consumption of resources on this planet, right? And then applying it on a universal scale, right? And that way you can have some empathy with this character. So I mean, these are kind of the changes, like I said, that the writers have done to deviate from the comics, which I think overall strengthens the the story without sort of sacrificing sort of elements of the of its origins.
Yeah, it does strengthen it too, because I mean, I feel like in the first couple Avengers, that was the case. It was just the bad guys wanted to dominate. They wanted to rule and be like overlords to the Earth. And it's like, okay,
Made it
seen
real-
that before. Those motivations
Yeah.
are very like one-dimensional, and
Right.
Yeah.
Made him a really interesting character.
Yeah, I think they're
Right.
getting better. I mean, the
Yeah.
MCU, I think, it's one of the things that is a knock on them is that they have kind of weak villains or weak one-dimensional villains,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
But I think with the evolution of the MCU, their villains are getting more interesting, more complex. Like I said, with Spider-Man: Homecoming and the Vulture, right? He was a
Oh,
very
yeah.
complicated character, had motivations. Yes, he's getting his own, but he's been oppressed. And he had stuff taken away from him, through no fault of his own. So he made his own way. So you can kind of relate to the kind of everyman side of him,
Yeah.
and then like you were saying with Black Panther and Killmonger, right? His pursuit, although his goals were the path he was going to get there was corrupt.
So
His
callous
end
and
goal was
heartless.
kind of noble to try to equalize sort of the I don't know if you want to call it the downtrodden experience, right? The African American experience kind of thing, right? To equalize the playing field at all costs.
And it's Josh Brolin. The voice was Josh Brolin.
Josh
That
Brolin
was
plays
Josh Brolin.
the character.
I
So,
couldn't pinpoint it during the
Yeah.
movie, but I thought I knew it. He's in Goonies too.
Whoa,
Josh
that's-
Brolin?
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh my
that's,
God.
that's throwback. Yeah.
Yeah, that is old school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was Michael Keaton in this one? I just thinking about it, he's been three superheroes now.
That's, well, he
Is that
was the
right?
original Batman,
Yeah.
right? And then, he had that role in Birdman, right?
yeah.
And then he was the Vulture,
Mhm.
So
He's the
I mean,
Vulture.
Michael Keaton in the MCU is chilling in New York prison, right? So it's,
Yeah, so what did you guys think as far as dealing with having so many characters to kind of give some screen time to and tell story, include in the plot and everything? Do you think I don't know, was there anything lacking, something you wish you would have seen more of, less of? Is there anything that surprised you?
just the losses and the deaths of certain heroes were just unsatisfying. Like Black Panther. And it was just really one of those things that you're like, wow, you wanted him to have a more heroic death. If he's going to die, but what? Sometimes, like I said, that's one of the things I think is really in a lot of ways brave of them to filmmaking, is to sort of tell the story where it's supposed to go, not where you may want it to go because you want a good feel out of it, right? Because a lot of the the deaths you see were I felt just empty deaths, and so they left me feeling like really empty, really sad. Like if there was a heroic death involved, at least you'd have something to sort of grab onto, saying that that sacrifice meant something. Yeah, I mean, just they really sort of ratcheting up the expectations for the Avengers 4, whatever the outcome may be. Like I don't necessarily expect all the heroes are going to come back.
That's what was gonna happen.
we don't really
Yeah.
know. I mean, let's be
Yeah.
honest. I mean, as you guys may or may not know, like
That'd be horrible if someone, that's how they go out for good.
we know that, like for example, Chris Evans, his contract's up. Tony Stark, his contract's up. Chris Evans has publicly stated that like he wants to hang up his shield. Because he's done. He wants to do other things.
Well, I'm curious, what was your guys' take on Bannon's issue with the Hulk, not turning into the Hulk?
I didn't like it.
I don't care about your feelings. I just want your interpretation. No, but I mean, why do you think it was? Like, did you interpret it the way I did, as far as, like, because he got beat in the beginning?
He got beat up.
Okay, and so
he started
his-
having issues.
Oh, man, he was like all
That's what I thought.
self-conscious now. I was kind of glad that he was neutralized somehow in this, because that's kind of always been the trump card.
Yeah,
with the
we got a
Avengers and
Hulk.
all the other
Hulk.
movies.
Yeah.
It's like whenever they get to a point where they, where they feel like they can't win, they just call him the Hulk. The Hulk saves the day.
Right.
That's been a play like a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, it was interesting how they just neutralized that right away from the beginning. I mean, it was good though. Those fight sequences, good God. And I really love how they had a bunch of things going on different planets. They had the fight with Thanos. And Iron Man in that group, and then that crazy epic battle with those dog creatures and Black Panther and all those guys in another part. And then wasn't there a third battle taking place as well.
There were so many.
So many battles.
That movie was bananas.
Yeah, the last third of the movie was one big fight scene.
I've never seen a movie like that, really. It was seriously.
Yeah. Usually when they kick that mode in some movies, your eyes kind of start just glazing over.
Insane.
And it loses me, but that didn't happen so much for me on this one.